Arfield, 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield, he's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes, and Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
On by Paul Teller, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson, and he go on the outside, comes inside, top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class.
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joel Redmond, after Burnley's defeat at home to the Premier League leaders Arsenal yesterday. A defeat which, to be fair, we probably all expected, but also in the same breath, we probably would have liked us to have offered a little bit more. But we'll get into our thoughts and stuff on the games coming up. As you can see, it's Halloween, so I look like Halloween. This is just my fancy dress costume. Nothing else needs to be said about it. But yes, for those of you who are obviously concerned, all the comments are coming flooding in. I am fine. But the show must go on, everybody. And that it's Will here on TurfCast, and I am, as always, pleased to introduce the lads. We've got Andrew, who is here no matter what, and it's good to have Liam back. Always great to have Liam, especially when he's in the middle of literally moving countries. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Liam. And Andrew, of course. How are we doing, lads? We all right?
All good, mate. All good.
Yeah, this is a mad setup for me, so hope that I sound okay.
Mate, that show microphone is fantastic. You sound absolutely beautiful. But I tell you what then, mate, while you sound absolutely fantastic, let's stick with you. What were your thoughts on the game yesterday, the performance and the result?
Well, I had a friend of mine send me a message before kickoff saying, what would you take? I said, just anything below 3 goals, I think would be a victory at this point, really. Yeah. Because Arsenal, they're an incredibly good football team, but defensively, they're one of the best that we've seen in Premier League for how many years? So if we just keep it somewhat tight, make it respectable, then I really do not mind at all. Yes, you would like to think that maybe we can get a result against a top 6 side one day. I think the last time we beat a top 6 side was, do you need to know? I know. I want to give you just a question.
2017?
Liverpool?
No. I'm pretty sure it's the Ben Mee winner beat Spurs for the 1-0 win at home back in the Daesh season.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, good shout, yeah.
That's how long it's been since we beat a top 6 side in Premier League. So that has to change this season. I didn't expect it to be Arsenal, at least, to be fair. But yeah, at 2-0 in the end, it's fine enough. They are a top side, and I do think they will go on to win the league. And the main benefit I find from the game on Saturday is the fact that hopefully we should never see the 5 at the back ever again, because we looked like a much better side in almost every game that we haven't played a 5 at the back. And the last 15 minutes when Josh Laurent came off, we looked a lot better. Yes, me say at the end of the game, maybe Arsenal let go. But the thing is, I don't think that's the case, because Arteta isn't the one to kind of let things go. He's very much a very detailed manager. So, yeah, hopefully the 5 back can be put in the bin, because we just have absolutely nothing really up top. We just cannot really get to the back, and it's just not as fluid, and it's disjointed. So, yeah, that's the main benefit you really get from the weekend for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Keep your comments coming in. It's always great to see the usual faces in. Claret Al says, evening, Clarets, evening, mate. Martin Stevenson's here as well. He says, evening, chaps. Claret Blue 1882. He says, evening, chaps. We've got Dominic H as well. John Payne, in answer to your question, yes, but let's leave it to the end. I won't put it on screen yet because people will start answering it. But yes, we will be doing that towards the end of the show. Liam Beach is in the chat as well. Excuse me. He says, didn't think we did too bad when we went to 4-4-1-1, which is obviously something that Liam has just spoken about, and it is something we will be talking about on its own in a little bit. And then obviously Martin goes on to say, definitely Liam, he looked very comfortable in that second half. I do think, as Liam on the show, Liam, not Liam Beach, Vizza was saying, I do feel like there is an element of Arsenal kind of like not being stepping on us as much in that second half because the job was done, to be fair. But Andrew, Chris is in the chat. We all know why Chris is here because obviously what I put in the WhatsApp group, so he wanted to have a nosy. But he's also very impressed with how clear you are, mate, with your hamsters being on steroids. But what were your thoughts on the game yesterday, mate, and the performance?
Yeah, I thought first half we were poor. Like, I think first half was probably one of our worst performances this season, but that's probably more to the quality that Arsenal have got and how good they are rather than how poor we were. But we didn't look like we wanted to go forward. We didn't look like we wanted to attack. Like we just looked like I said in my fan reaction, we were there to make up the numbers yesterday, which is the first time I felt like that under Scott Parker, and especially in the Premier League. But second half, it was the subs that changed us, and I still question taking Big Les off when he did. But at the same time, you know, the subs definitely changed us, and we did look a lot better in the second half. Again, though, it could be because Arsenal didn't really step onto us as much as you alluded to there. They've definitely taken their foot off the gas. I know that they had a few chances still, but it were pretty much job done. And like I said, we still created some chances, but I don't think we had a shot on target all game.
No, we didn't. And the first shot we had came in the 70th minute. The first shot we had came in the 70th minute.
And people might take that as like a negative for Burnley, but I was reading before the match, like Arsenal had only conceded 2 shots on target in the last like 4 games beforehand anyway. So we could have done better, but like Liam said, you know, it's Arsenal. They're top of the league. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the league because I've been slated in the fan reaction for saying that they won't. I don't think they will. I think they'll bottle it like they usually do.
I don't see who catches them. Maybe Liverpool if they get going. Maybe City if they get going. But Arsenal, I obviously I was there against Liverpool as I'm sure you were, Andrew, and I was there against City as well. Having watched Liverpool and City in the flesh and Arsenal now, I do feel like Arsenal are the best of the 3.
Yeah, I would say that they're the better team defensively. But on the ball, I'm not quite sure. But having said that, you know, they're top of the league at the minute. You know, we can't complain about losing 2-0 to them.
Yeah.
Look at the start of the season. If you'd have said up to this point, we'd be where we are. I think we're on 10 points now or something. You know, we'd have taken that. So, yeah, I'm not too disappointed. It's just focus turning to West Ham quickly.
Yeah, definitely. There's an Arsenal fan in the chat. He says, hi, Arsenal fan here. We slowed it right down in the second half because Gyökeres took a knock and was subbed. Obviously, that's responding to some of the comments that we made about Burnley probably not being as under much pressure in the second half and probably being a little bit better from an Arsenal perspective. Obviously, they're saying that it were mainly due to them, which I think I agree with, to be fair. I think for me, just before we move on, I think for me, my disappointment yesterday was I do feel like we were just too negative. That's the first time, and I'm like... Come on, I obviously don't want us to go all out attack. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're playing Arsenal, you know what I mean, against one of the top 6. But I feel like sometimes we do show these biggest 6 clubs, the bigger clubs, too much respect. Going 5 at the back again when it's not really worked. It nearly worked against Liverpool. And someone made a point yesterday that they did waste a couple of big chances, Liverpool. So if that is the case, then is it really working? Some people might say it nearly worked against United as well. But, you know, they did score 2 goals before that penalty. So for me, it was just a shame to see us looking so good recently in terms of the formation and the system that we're playing. Like I thought we looked good against Wolves, especially the first half. For us to then go back to 5 at the back for something that hasn't worked for a while, I agree. I know Liam mentioned it in his sort of like chat earlier, but I do feel like that has to be the end of it. Do you agree then, Liam? Do you think that will be the end of it, or are you a little bit concerned that Scott Parker might keep going back to this when we're playing the bigger clubs?
Well, we're going to find out pretty soon against Chelsea at home, which is the next home game. So I guess we'll find out then. I get it, because you'd think, having 5 at the back means you much more stable. And to be fair, shots-wise, Arsenal had 8 shots in that first half, and I think only 4 or 5 in the second. Like, realistically, they actually didn't have that many shots, to be fair. They had could control the game, of course, in first half, and we were quite poor. But, like, maybe they'll look at that and think, clearly we are restricting them, so maybe they'll keep it going. The thing is, for me, I can't really take these games much to heart, really, because especially how the season has gone, the games that we've expected to get a result, we have. Other than maybe you say Villa away, but they're still a tough game to go to. If we go beat West Ham next week, I couldn't care less about what happened this week.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Because 2-0 loss to Arsenal, who I still think will win the league, is respectable enough. Just don't embarrass ourselves. And, the last 15 minutes especially gives me some hope going on. Liverpool game, shouldn't have lost in the end. Respectable. United, shouldn't have lost in the end. Respectable. So other than literally Spurs' first game of the season, I guess you could say the last 15 minutes against City, I think it's been pretty much as good as we could have expected, realistically. Like, if you're being realistic, it's gone as good as we could imagine. So I can't have any complaints.
Yeah, fair enough. A comment here from Dominic. Andrew, I'll come to you on this one, because I know you mentioned the back 5 as well there. But Dominic says we need to put Ekdal in if we go back 5 with Steve on the left and Tuanzebe on the right. Josh Loren, I like Josh, but I do feel like he got a lot of stick yesterday, and he did look like a little bit of a fish out of water at some points yesterday. I do feel like he struggled at points yesterday, and I hope he don't mind that. I'm pretty sure I'd watch it, but I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. But I do feel like he was a little bit poor yesterday. But he's playing out of position. Like, I don't know why when we play this back 5, Scott's decided to put Josh Loren in part of that, in the back 3 of that back 5, if that makes sense. So what are your thoughts? Would you want to keep it against certain teams and try and restrict them, but maybe change the personnel a little bit, or do you just want to get rid of it entirely?
Personally, I want to get rid of it, but I can understand why he does do it and why Josh Laurent's in there rather than a traditional centre-half, because when we get the ball in possession, it's almost like he does try and slip it back to having 4 at the back and Laurent dropping a little bit more into midfield. So I can see why Laurent's in there rather than Ekdal or, like you say, not Chuanzebe, like another centre-half like Humphreys or something. I can understand that, because when we get the possession, it's like he adds to the midfield. But look, like, all respect to Josh Laurent, I think he's brilliant. I think he's done really well this season. I liked him last season, but it was a 500k signing from Stoke City, and we're coming up against one of the best midfields definitely in the Premier League, but potentially in the world. You can see that step up in quality between the two teams, and I feel sorry for him, because he did look like a fish out of water, like you said, and he didn't have his best game yesterday. But the players that we're playing up against, it's a bit hard to, be too critical of him. But yeah, I'd be happy to get rid of this 5 at the back that we're playing at the minute, because it doesn't really give us anything when we're going forward. But having said that, last time we played Arsenal in the Premier League, we tried to play football, we tried to go forward, we tried to attack them, and we got back.
I mean, while I do want to get rid of the 5 at the back, I'll never want to go back to the company suicide football in the Premier League. No. That's not what I'm suggesting, to be fair. But
if it comes down to goal difference at the end of the season,
exactly.
This defensive, and I think as well, because you look back at Parker's last times in the Premier League, we got thumped 9-0 by Liverpool, I think, in his last game against Fulham, or it might have been when he was at Bournemouth. I think he's had
that one.
He's had the thumpings as well, so he's had to learn as well as we have. When we're coming up against these bigger sides, and like Liam said, it nearly worked against Liverpool, it nearly worked against United, even though we had conceded 2 goals. there have been times where it has nearly worked, but it just we seem to play better football going forward.
Yeah, definitely going
when
forward.
We play at the back, so I think he has to drop it.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it stifles us. It stifles their creativity. I can kind of understand the thinking behind it, but I would like us to look at Forest yesterday getting a draw against United, stuff like that. And other teams have managed to beat some of the big six, especially Liverpool. Obviously, they've lost quite a few games recently. I just feel like there has to be a time when we do finally beat one of these teams again. For us to do that, we have to be going for these teams. But again, I'm not for 1 second. It's finding the balance. I'm not suggesting, like I said, we go to the company suicide ball. That's not what I'm suggesting. But we need to find a balance of not showing so much respect to these teams and trying to go at them as well. But keep your comments coming in. There's quite a few chatting about the back five. John Robertson's here. Good to see you, mate. He says, no issues with the back five if it uses 5 defenders and is used against the top 6 to 8 sides, especially away from home. More though, let's be brave and use a 4 when we can. We can stay up if we are brave. Completely agree. Ash Blake, obviously referring to Josh Loren here, says he is a DM though. He runs back. I'll give him that. He's better than Ekdal. If I was Parker, I'd look at some firepower runners. Lee Greenwood says, I think Josh Loren is preferred as he is the utility player and can change his role if we needed to change formation. Chase a Dream says back 5 invites pressure and stifles our attacking options if it doesn't work. Hannibal Medjbre, fans clubs in the chat, good to see you, mate. He says Parker is cautious, but we need to go forward a bit more. We will be talking about Hannibal later on, to be fair, because I do feel like he did well when he came off the bench. Ash Blake says United ain't big 6. Sorry, mate. I know they're a bit shite these days, but they definitely are the big 6. Maybe not the best 6, if you want to argue that, fair enough. But for me, they're still the biggest club in this country. It's them or Liverpool anyway. But anyway, let's not digress. Obviously, we always like to talk about the goals that we score or concede here on TurfCast. Not really much to say about the first one. Gyökeres with somewhat of a free header. That's my only concern here. I'll come to you first on this one, Liam. Looking at that still there, he's heading it in from literally a yard out, isn't he? You know what I mean? I think he was marked and he's got away too easily from his man. But it's Arsenal scoring a set piece. That they are the set piece kings at the minute, which is quite ironic considering all that whinging they used to do about teams bullying them and things like that back in the day. But fair play to him for me. I do feel like fair enough. If you're going to utilise something to be really good at it, then do it well. And that's exactly what Arsenal are doing. But looking at that goal from a Burnley perspective, Liam. In fact, having said that, Clarets made a good point there. That is a talking point. I will try and bring that up, actually. He says the corner leading to this is dodgy for me. But Liam, your thoughts on that goal?
I mean, I was just going to say, like, Arsenal scoring from a corner is no real surprise to me. But the fact that it shouldn't even be talked about because I don't think it really was a corner. It's one of them, like, I think the rule is, I think we saw it against, Newcastle v Arsenal. I think it's Anthony Gordon. I think he was the example, actually. So quite ironic, it's actually against Arsenal that game. But because it's all about where it is, how you look above, like a bird's eye view, looking downwards on the line. Like you can see an angle where you may think it's off, but it's all about the bird's eye view, which I think, from what I've seen, it would be on the line. So in reality, it shouldn't have been a corner in the first place, but it is what it is. You know what? I think because Arsenal's so good at set pieces that it puts more pressure on them than typical other teams, that I feel like players overthink it and they maybe they're marking the most obvious men and not really putting attention. So they're looking at Gabriel, they're looking at Saliba, for example. And of course, someone like Gyökeres, he may be, because there's so much of an over-reliance on those two main men, that someone like Gyökeres, who you'd think is also a big lad as well, just in that split second made us not be thought about as much because of Fogs and the other lads. So I don't know. That's just what I see from it. But again, shouldn't have even been a corner in the first place. So there you go. We move on.
Yeah, fair enough. I am quickly just bringing in the still from the corner image, so bear with me just while I quickly do that so we can all look at that and talk about that one. But from the picture that I'm about to bring in, it does for me look like that it doesn't cross the line. But again, it's not an exact bird's eye view. So is that inconclusive or not? I think to me, you can quite clearly see that part of that.
Wait, did he touch it or not? Because I was saying, I forgot the clip actually.
Calafiori knocks, I think it's Calafiori knocks the ball and it goes off. And then Dubravka's obviously got a touch on it.
Yeah, so Dubravka that got the touch. Yeah, I was going to say.
Like keeping it in, but that's the moment when Dubravka gets the touch. So it's either a goal kick or he's kept it in.
Because they think that Dubravka basically leaned back, didn't he? Like he got the ball and leaned back slightly and then went back into place. So basically that's what but from that image just there, look at it, imagine it from a bird's eye view directly with the ball. That would be on the line. That would be on the line.
Yeah. From that image there, and again, I know Stills only tell half of the story. I can't obviously bring in any footage. I can't find any footage of it, by the way. I've only seen this screenshot. I just quickly went on the official Premier League highlights, and it's the actual footage of it isn't there. It doesn't show it going out for a corner. It just shows
it's on the Burnley highlights.
Is
it's
it
on
right?
the Burnley?
Okay. I'll have a look at that then in a bit, but obviously I won't be able to bring it in. But everybody feel free to quickly head over there on a different tab, by the way. Don't leave this show, obviously, and quickly have a look at it and let me know what you think. But I'm looking at that and thinking it's if it is a case of whether it's over the line or not. And what I will say is, by the way, the linesman is on the other side. He's not on the side that we're looking at. The linesman's at the Bob Lord end side, because obviously I sit in the Jimmy Mack, and I remember looking at the time thinking, I'm not sure if that's over. So I don't see how he can get it right from there, because you've got two posts in the way. You've got Dubravka's body in the way. There is no way that he sees that ball definitely over the line, the linesman. He's at the other end. So I think, as somebody said earlier, I don't know where the comments gone now, apologies. There we go. Chaser Dream says, linesman has no idea the ball was out or in, yet puts his flag up. Exactly that. He doesn't have a clue.
It is a guess.
Absolutely. It's a guess.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Your thoughts, Andrew, on the actual in itself?
It's the same linesman who gave a free kick to Calafiori, which Burnley have put on the TikTok, which shows him diving better than Tom Daly. So it doesn't surprise me. But it weren't a corner. Like, I'll sit here and argue that all day. The defending from the corner, we could have done much better. But again, Arsenal scoring from a set piece. It's one of the few things now that you can guarantee on. But the thing that was annoying me was you could see where all the Arsenal players were. Like, I don't like this zonal marking that we seem to do. I'd rather it were man for man. You could see where all the Arsenal players were. I think they'd had a corner before this, and you could see the same moves that they were going to do. So, yeah, it wasn't a corner, but the actual corner itself, we could have defended better. And, like I say, Gyökeres gets his head to it. He ain't going to miss from there. None of their players are going to miss from there. It's a well-worked corner from their point of view. Could have defended it better, but it one of them. And it's the only set piece that they scored from for us, which, with how many they scored this season, it's a bonus, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I do agree with what Liam's saying, by the way, when he said you can concentrate too much on players like Saliba and stuff. I think Saliba was a guy that we actually pushed out. I think if you look at which still have I got on screen at the minute, there you go. It's the corner. Is it Saliba there that's out of the pitch? He actually ends up assisting it, doesn't he? He nods it back across the goal. So I do agree with Liam in that sense, where he says the fact that we're focusing too much on them players, and yet we still managed to, not really do a great job with him, because he's a great defender, to be fair, and he's a great header of the ball. So maybe it's more a testament to how good he is with things rather than how bad we are. But I do feel like Liam makes a point on the bit where, we're focused on the wrong players there, and even then we still couldn't. Because Gyökeres getting a free header from a yard out is as good as they are at set pieces. You've got to be looking at it from a Burnley perspective as well there, in my opinion, and saying it's probably not really good enough in that aspect. But am I being a bit harsh and a bit picky there?
As much as and I'm sure we'll speak about him later on, but as brilliant as I think Dubravka's been this season as well, I felt like he could have done better in terms of trying to stop Gyökeres, because he's literally right in front of him. But like I say, they're just a different quality, aren't they? So it's a bit harsh if I'm being too picky.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure we'll get onto man of the match and stuff later on, but we will obviously be, I think a few people, to be fair, will say that Dubravka does have a really good game. I think the score is down at 2-0. Excuse me, because of Dubravka. Chaser Dream says, yeah, it was the linesman that flagged for it. I don't know if the ref had a word in his ear or what, I'm not sure. But the linesman definitely flagged for it. I do feel like it was a linesman. Lee Greenwood says, Lionel was awful, gave them a free kick that wasn't a foul, but Mr. Blater one for us right under his nose. Claret Owl says, Arsenal fans in here, has anyone put a 3-man wall up to stop your corner routine? He's trying to get some scouting tips, is Claret Owl. Claret 1982 says, agree with Andrew. That's rare. Zonal marking is stupid when you have players running into space with momentum. We are never going to get the ball first in those situations. Simon Woodall says, Arsenal players, big, tall lads. Claret Owl says, yeah, you have to doff your cap to a good team in their peak. John Robertson says, Arsenal had 4 players on the back post, 2 of them to block the Davavka. Very clever. It's a foul, but you never get them. Liam, I'll come to you first then again. Second Arsenal goal, this one, obviously Declan Rice. Again, free header. He's got too much space there for me, in my opinion. I think he has lost his man. He's not unmarked. I think he's just done well to lose a man, to be fair. But my gripe with this goal was the amount of time that Trossard had on the left, because he got the ball in so much space. And then Josh Loren, I think it was, went over to him. I thought he was very slow at getting over to him. And then he just had all the time in the world to pick out a cross. And obviously, and you give someone the player of the quality of Trossard to pick out a pass, he's going to find the man, isn't he? And I thought you could look at it from a Burnley perspective, an Arsenal perspective, and say it was a good counter-attacking goal. But I feel like from a Burnley perspective, again, maybe I'm being slightly harsh, but I just feel like we could have done a little bit better for me with that second goal. What are your thoughts, Liam?
I mean, this came from our break. This came from our attack, right? Wasn't it like a set?
Yeah.
We had a corner, right?
It were a throw-in, I think.
Yeah, so I remember that it was just on the break. I think Gyökeres did pretty well to hold it up. Great ball, just diag across the Van Trossard, and that's when he was in all that space. So in a situation like that, you're all sprinting back. Everyone's trying to find out, just which man to mark. In this situation, I think it just went straight over Cullen's head because he's not the tallest, to be fair. So Luis, I guess, had the right to get. Yeah, that's why in a situation like that, it causes chaos. And it's a great piece of quality from Trossard to find Rice in that space. And yeah, it's just a shame because we just tried to make an attack and we got caught out from it realistically. So yeah, I've not got too much to say about that really. Like, it is just a really good ball, just lifted in, floated perfectly for Rice. And he just headed it directly, against the moves of Dubravka. Not much he can really do there. I mean, I know that Laurent gets a lot of stick, and that's because he's much more of an easy target because he's basically being played out of place. Like, he's a lad that's a centre mid that we got from Stoke, $500,000, who's for some reason now being played as a centre back in the Premier League for whatever reason against top clubs. So he's an easy spot here. I mean, people are saying they gave him too much room to cross the ball, which is fair enough, but Trossard's got quality, and he didn't want to give him. He put him down to the byline, didn't he? Like, he just made sure he couldn't cut in, run him out wide.
He pushed him down
like the ball in. So there's not much more you can really expect him to do other than make sure he just doesn't cut in on his right and find an easy pass. So I'm not fully against Laurent. I just think that he's being put in impossible situations here because in reality, he should never be expected to be a centre back in Premier League because he's never been a centre back for any other club at any other level. So I don't really blame him too much, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough. Andrew, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, just completely agree. For me, it were a well-worked counter-attack from Arsenal. But like you said, looking at it from Burnley perspective, we've given Trossard far too much space on that left-hand side. Laurent, again, he's not a defender. He's not, especially not a right-back. He shouldn't be chasing after Trossard. And then he puts ball in, and it's just a powerful header from Rice in it. And felt for Dubravka because he was almost wrong-footed trying to go one way, and Rice has headed it back into the other, into the other corner. And yeah, it's just a well-worked goal from him. And I'd love to be able to, sit here and say, oh, we were poor for that. But sometimes you've just got to accept the quality. And I think Gyökeres' defence splitting pass, that just sort of, showed the quality between us and Arsenal.
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
It was a great ball. I will give him that. It was a great ball.
I just watched it back and you could say that Laurent, he was very kind of relaxed in terms of he didn't really press him too much. He just kind of, I think maybe just tired. I don't know. Is he just tired? Like, he just was knackered running back from that throw-in and he just couldn't have the energy to go for the press. Maybe it's as simple as that because he looks like he's knackered. just by him, it looks like he's heavy, deep breathing when I'm just looking at his clip here. So maybe it's just that, like he's just knackered and just thought, because he just positioned himself to make sure he just couldn't cut inside. So he's hoping that if he goes down the byline, just force to make a cross and hope that someone else does their job. It looks like that's the case.
Yeah, fair enough. Simon Woodhouse makes a good point here. Says Walker taking long throws to the other side of the pitch left it wide open, which is probably a great point to be fair and something we've all missed. That is probably fair enough. Claret Blue 1882 says Loren's price tag shouldn't be an excuse to play for him in a naive manner. Potentially a bit hard. I mean, I do feel like he should have closed him down a little bit better. But I agree with Liam. Like, as Martin says here, he's doing a job he's not made for. Is Josh Loren, like being asked to play in centre back? It's maybe we should be having a look at Parker. Andy Duckworth says, question. It's an example of chasing the game as comes on for Walker being out of position from the forward. Do we need to be more prudent and not do the long throw from the left side as exposed? Potentially, mate. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can look at the fact that these long throws haven't worked once. So maybe it is a case of, Has it? When did it?
It has once.
I can't remember who it was against, but I remember I hate these long throws. Like, I hate them with a passion. And I remember turning to my missus and being like, "Oh, these long throws, they never work. I hate them." And I think we scored from it. Yeah,
United. Yeah, that was a second goal, right?
Like, yeah, so I was like, I hate these throw-ins, but it works. But since then, it's not worked. So I definitely scrap them, especially having your right back taking one at the corner of the opposite side of the pitch, sticking every man in the box and hoping that it works, because when it inevitably falls to one of their players, we get a counter-attack like that.
Yep.
I think because it's against Arsenal and we know we're going to get basically little to no chances, I think it's just more the pressure of a throw-in is possibly our best chance to cause some chaos. Just put it in the mix and hope that a second ball or something can bounce for someone. So I think it's just seen as our best chance to make something. And the thing is, end of the game, we got Luis's header that realistically could have been a goal. It was great.
Yeah, that was the best chance
to get the ball across. So that could have been a goal. And then, of course, Edwards off the post from free kick. So realistically, in the end, we made something, but in that first half, we basically did nothing, and more the second half as well until the last 15, 20 minutes. So I think that's why there's more pressure to do something for the long throws.
But we created more chances, just to argue against that. We created more chances in the second half, like in the last 15, 20 minutes, and we stopped doing the long throws as much. So
we also changed formation as well.
That's true. Yeah, we changed formation and we had different subs and what have you, but this long throw's not working for me. Like, it's worked once.
What's the harm in not doing it? I don't see why we shouldn't do it, because I guess actually do. I say that we did score against Leeds by not doing a long throw and just doing it normally, actually. So maybe I'm
fair point.
Maybe I'm right.
I love it how you just contradicted yourself there instantly, but that's what we're about.
I just realised that. But I don't know. Like, I don't mind it, because against some entire league is doing it, so there's some reason why. I mean, Brentford is literally where they are because of long throws almost single-handedly.
Yeah. But like I said, it's horses for courses, isn't it? And they will work in some situations and they won't work in others. So it's about doing it probably at the right time and things like that. I think Andy makes a point like maybe not doing it with the right back, taking them on the left against the top six, but maybe going forward doing them in certain situations. Andrew, you mentioned subs there. Scott Parker loves a couple of strange substitutions. I thought Big Les played quite well in that first half. I thought only him and Dubravka really came out of that first half with any real credit. And then for Parker to take him off on the 60th minute or whatever it was, obviously bringing on Bruno Larson and also bringing on Tuner on and taking Anthony off, which is pretty much a straight swap. So you can understand that one slightly. But I do feel like the Bruno Larson for Big Les was a bit of a strange one. And I raised an eyebrow. I think I did put it in the TurfCast WhatsApp group, didn't I? I thought it was a little bit weird. What were your thoughts on his subs? I mean, we did do better in the second half, didn't we? So maybe, again, I'm just contradicting myself instantly by saying I didn't like them subs, but then we actually did better in the second half. But obviously, as an Arsenal fan said in the chat earlier, Gyökeres did go off in the second half. And as Liam mentioned, we did change formation as well. Obviously, that sub was part of the formation change. So what were your thoughts on his subs?
Yeah, I thought taking Anthony off was the right call because for me he was quite poor.
He was poor
And
yesterday.
Brunlarson, I think a lot of people, myself included, have given Brunlarson a bit of stick this season and said he's not as good as he was last time round. And again, I don't know if he'll grow into it or if he's, it's one of them where you don't want that player. You don't want a return player, being poor. But I thought Brun Larson did well when he came on. But I couldn't, and I still can't get my head around Les going off. Only thing I can imagine, like Andy says there, is that Parker was saving Les for next weekend because I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch for us yesterday.
He was classy seeing that first half.
Yeah. He was I think I put it in the TurfCast group at half time, like he was the only player who looked like he wanted to get forward. And yeah, I thought he was brilliant, so I couldn't understand it, especially with Laurent still being on the pitch. But then, he brought Tuna on, he brought Edwards on, he brought Brozier on, he brought on players to try and go for it a little bit more. And I think had we started going for it, would have been all right. But yeah, he actually brought players on who looks like they could change the game. And like I said before, Hannibal, when he came on, I thought he caused chaos. I thought it was a nuisance.
I do want to talk about Hannibal individually because, again, I thought out of the subs, he was probably the best. I know a lot of people are mentioning Edwards in the chat, and I will touch on Edwards as well. But Liam, I felt Hannibal really got involved in the game. Was on the ball quite a lot. Really had, had a positive impact on the game. Came in with a lot of energy, and we looked much better with him on the pitch. Is it time to start him, or do you think he is more of a bench player? I mean, and if we are starting him, I think that the question then has to be, who are you dropping? And that's where it becomes tough to argue a case for Hannibal starting.
I mean, Hannibal's a risk taker. That's what he is. And he's someone who plays on the edge, of course, in terms of his kind of his persona, basically. He did try different things, which is kind of what you need because otherwise the game just kind of flies past you. I like Hannibal. But I can just already imagine there'll be a game when he just goes too much off the edge and he gets a red card. And that day will eventually come. And I think that's what Parker's worried about because he wants a bit more stability in there. So yeah, I like him. Like, he's got that ability. He's got that cut above for that final ball. We saw it against Wolves to get the win in the first place. I don't think there's many players in our group that can do that, to weighted that perfectly. So he's got it. He's just... Again, he's a risk taker because I think there was a time in that game that he lost the ball in a dumbass area, and we were put
Andy
at
mentioned
risk.
it earlier.
Yeah, so it feels like it's a fine line you play, and it's all about just trying to weather him. I think that's a correct term to say for him. So yeah, I think he'll get a start. When it will be, I don't know. I mean, are we thinking against West Ham next week? Are we thinking against West Ham? Is that the thoughts?
You can't drop it. The thing is that you can't... I don't see how we drop any of the midfield three. So as some people are making comments in the chat there, if you bring in Hannibal in, he's probably got to go in on the left or the right.
No, he cannot play as a winger.
No, exactly. That's the point.
He's not got the pace. Like, he's got some flair, but like, he'll work in the Championship, but definitely not in the Premier League. Like, absolutely not. It would just be a waste.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, but I'm thinking... He might be finding his space in this team now as more of a bench impact player because he did very well when he came off the bench against Wolves as well, obviously with the brilliant assist for Lau's winner, and did well yesterday as well when he came off the bench. So I'm not sure how we shoehorn him into the starting side because I don't want to drop any of the midfield three. I think that it's a brilliant midfield three and probably our best part of the team, that midfield three. So again, then you're shoehorning him into the side if you're sticking him as a winger. And I agree with you. I think you've got players better suited to being wingers than Hannibal.
Yeah, like I think as of currently right now, until there's any injuries, have him as a bench player to kind of throw on when we're most likely still needing a goal or chasing a game, to mix things up, to have a bit more flair, to have a bit more creativity, that kind of bit of quality that you can take a risk. He's perfect for that kind of role in the team right now, unless if someone eventually gets injured. So next week against Wolves, it'd be very likely the same team that we saw. Next week against West Ham, be like the same team we play against Wolves, and I'd be happy with that realistically.
Yeah, fair enough.
Other than
Andrew,
maybe Brun Larson?
Sorry, go on,
Maybe
Liam.
other than Brun Larson. Not to been too happy about him, to be fair, so far. Actually.
Yeah, I like JBL and I was happy when we signed him. I don't think he's offered a lot. I thought he looked okay when he came on yesterday, but it's not been difficult to be better than some of the stuff that he has offered recently. I thought he was quite poor against Wolves, for example, JBL. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult with JBL. Andrew, your thoughts on the Hannibal situation and what you do with him? Would you start him? Would you keep him on the bench?
Yeah, for me, I'd be putting him in. I don't know where, but that's Scott Parker's job, and that's why he can wear a very expensive coat and I can't. But yeah, for me, he brings us something that we don't have in the team at the minute. He brings that energy. Like Liam said, he will take risks. But you can't play like him playing on the wing wouldn't work in the Premier League. It works well in the Championship, but it won't in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You can't change that midfield three. Like that midfield three has to be the midfield three. But somehow Hannibal has to be in there, and I don't know how to work it. Like I keep trying on FIFA just so I can get it in my head, which I know sounds daft, but that's how so I can thought like see it, and I can't work it out. So yeah, that's why Parker gets to make the big money. But yeah, for me, he should be in that team. But we probably won't see it until someone does get injured, or suspension or something like that. But
yeah, probably.
Are we going to talk about Brun Larson up next, by the way?
You can do, yeah. I mean, obviously with me, and I think I've just very briefly mentioned him there. I don't think he was awful yesterday. As I know, Chase the Dream has gone quite a lot, and honestly, Chase the Dream, I love you, mate. But literally every single comment for the last 5 minutes has been how gash JBL was. He was awful against Wolves, though, mate. I'm not disagreeing with you. Thought he did better yesterday than what he did against Wolves, but I still don't think he necessarily offered a great deal. He looked okay, I felt, yesterday, but did he ever beat his man or anything once? What is it you want to say about him, Liam, anyway?
No, I don't think he's ever beat a man since he's come back once.
No, he's been poor since he's come back, definitely.
You know that when he gets the ball, he's going to eventually turn behind at some point, or just lose the ball in general. Yeah, I mean, is it worth maybe trying how Edwards does now? Is it just worth?
Yeah, well, he looked okay yesterday. Andrew's shaking his head, but he looked okay yesterday.
Well, I know in the cup games he didn't look that good, right? I know that, but like I think in terms of just keeping the ball, it's not like he doesn't have technical skill. Maybe his work rate and his tracking back. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to play, because JBL is much more about work rate than what Edwards is. So maybe that's the reason why. I just don't think it's any harm trying it, or at least give Edwards actually a bit more time, give him more than 5-10 minutes tops. Let's give him 30 minutes on the right hand side and see how it does against West Ham, because Brun Larson's not doing anything.
I would definitely give Edwards more time, but for me, if you're dropping Brun Larson, which I agree with you, he hasn't done anything since he came back. If you're dropping Brun Larson, you have to put Junior in that position. Like he has to be in that position. He's the player who has proved himself for me in there.
Has he earned right from his starts he had before? I think it's like, is he more of a bench player?
No, for me, he's earned the chance to be starting more than JBL. But Edwards yesterday did the same thing that I said last season was my issue with him, where he gets the ball and he'll try and beat every single man in the box. The good thing that he did was he'd actually put the ball across. Like, rather than just keep trying to do that, he would actually put the ball across. So that is a positive, and I would like to see Edwards coming on off the bench. But he's not the sort of... He's almost like a Manuel Benson type player for me, where if we start him, he's going to get kicked every single game. He's going to be the player that the opposition focus on and try to take out the game as much. And yeah, it might work, because last season we saw that and it helped Anthony on the other wing. But again, that works in the Championship, not in the Premier League. For me, he's not got enough for me to start in the Premier League, whereas I feel like Tuna has.
I think it's fair to give Are we pronouncing his name? Sorry, are we basically pronouncing his name Tuna? Is that basically how we
Yes, I think it's just we are going with Tuna because we know we are awful at pronouncing names. So we've just said Tuna, even though it's quite obviously Chowner, and we've stuck with it. So I think the actual, if you want to be professional, Liam, please feel free to pronounce it properly. But me and Andrew,
I just say Tuna. That's fine by me. I guess the only issue is that he's the only natural right winger that we actually have in the squad. It feels like I don't think Tuna is actually a natural right winger either. I think he can play there. He has in Serie A. But I don't know if that's really is. Is he a right winger naturally? It's Chowner.
I think so, yeah.
Chowner?
Yeah.
He's a right winger, Tuna, right?
Yeah.
Goes everywhere.
I don't know why I thought it was left side. I remember just in Championship, we had like Lyle Foster on the left and we forced Shannon Anti to the right. Or we played Hannibal on the left and then had Anti on the right. Or Koleosho, whoever, like, we seem to only have left wingers. So maybe that's why it's got the fact we've no right wingers at all. And he's like the only natural one we have other than Manuel Benson. So maybe that's why I think that way. But start Tuna, I wouldn't mind that because I don't think Brun Lawson offers anywhere near as much as him. So that's fine by me.
Before we move on then, lads, who are you choosing for your two wingers? If you're going to pick two wingers now for the West Ham game to start, who are you starting?
Anthony and Tuna.
Anthony and Tuna and someone Edwards and give him a chance in the 30 minutes. And if you want to, Anthony's having a good game. Someone put Lawson on the left because I think he's much better on the left.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd have Anthony and Chowner as well. So I'm surprised to see us all actually agree for once. John Payne is asking all the important questions. Are you streaming Football Manager Visit?
Bro, I am in so many different locations when I'm moving countries. I'm moving back to England literally next Saturday. I've set up this office 4 different times now. I am tired. But fortunately, it's my last place. So, yeah, I am not in a position. I'm with my girls for the next week before I move over, so helping out. And then I'm back home, boys. So, yeah, I'm driving through Europe on 8th. And I've got a place. I can be more specific. Up Colne, which may have people boo at me, but I'm a Bower forward boy, so it's close enough. So I'll take that. So unfortunately, no.
There you go, John. And that's his question. No, but back to the important things. Not that Liam's life isn't important, of course it is. But Clara Al says Tuna and Hannibal in answer to the question. For some reason, it's not working. I can't bring it on screen anymore. For some reason. Can everybody? There we go. Right, we're back. I don't know what happened there. Right. Tuna and Anthony says John. Anthony and Loom says Sean. Yeah, so Booter Colin says Clark we went to 1982. Apologies if the connection dropped out there a little bit. I'm not really sure what that was. But one thing that a few people have mentioned in the chat, and obviously we will start wrapping it up soon and doing the man of the match soon. So get ready. Don't vote yet, everybody. Wait until I put the picture on screen. Is a lot of people have tried to ask the question about Brozier. Obviously came on yesterday. What were your thoughts on his appearance yesterday? Andrew, I'll start with you on this one, mate.
He came on. I think I can't really remember him making many passes. I can't really remember him having much of the ball, to be honest. So yeah, he was there, and that's all I've got.
Like, I love that. What do you think of him? Well, he was there.
The thing is that I get what he's saying because he comes on and he's not shy, but he just doesn't get involved, does he? He just doesn't do much. Like it's not like he's doing stuff and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, he looks like a League Two player. He just doesn't really affect the game. Yeah.
It's almost too nice.
I can't remember him having a touch of the ball, and that's negative or positive. I honestly
Paul Walker says looks lazy. Liam, you say you're checking the stats of his performance yesterday?
I'm just going to see how many touches he had on the ball. He had 2.
2 touches. And what minute did he come
on
in the
game?
Possession
both times.
He come on in the 76th minute.
76 minutes.
So he's on for 15 plus minutes.
He made 2 passes.
We're added on 4 minutes.
He made 2 passes with those 2 touches. Lost the ball both times.
That's not great, is it?
He
That's
won
not
2 of his 4 aerial duels. That's 50%.
Yeah, I do remember him winning a header. Obviously, he won 2. I've misremembered one. Forgotten one, should I say?
I mean, I think he's become somewhat of like a social media manager now at the club. I've seen him a lot more on Instagram, really.
Yeah, he keeps doing some stuff, doesn't he, like on the videos and stuff.
I mean, he seems like a really nice lad. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's just too nice. He's got a beautiful voice, I can't lie. Maybe he's just a really nice guy and just doesn't get stuck in enough. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Because I like to think he's got something about him. I like to think he's got some potential there. But so did half the entire Vincent Company team. So, I like to think there's something there. Otherwise, they would have spent 15, 20 million pounds on him. How was it actually 20 mil? Was it 18? What was the actual amount in the end?
I'm not sure. I think you've got to remember a lot of the stuff you see these days is including the add-ons. If he's not doing very well and not playing much, we're not going to meet these add-ons. So I don't know what it was exactly, but I don't think it was as high as that.
The main thing is, in the games he actually started in the Cups, what did we think of him?
Oh, and in the Cups, I thought it was dreadful, but I think everybody in the Cups was dreadful in them games.
Yeah, he needs a bit of game time, actually starting in the Premier League. And at the minute, with how Foster started the season and how Fleming's done in the last couple of games, there's not really been a reason for him to start. As soon as it comes to AFCON and Foster goes,
that's the point. Yeah, we're going to need him, aren't we? Well, having said that, Zian's come in and done quite well.
Yeah, but I don't think he's made an argument for being able to come on and change the game. And it said everything, not last week, the week before, when we brought Barnes on for the last couple of minutes. I think it was against Leeds.
Is disrespectful, by the way. He's been compared to the Albanian Patrick Bamford, and he could be put on loan maybe to Aki Stanley.
Yeah, David Asher says, so Liam's saying, he pins it on you, to be fair here, Liam. He says, so Liam's saying we've signed the Albanian Patrick Bamford, and Simon Woodhouse is the one that says needs to be put on loan to maybe Stanley. I
presume that's because it sounds really posh, basically.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I'm not going to write him off yet. There's been some comments earlier in the chat that do say he's a little bit off speed and he doesn't have a great amount of fitness at the minute. So that's why I'm not going to write him off just yet. But I feel like it is a case of we are making excuses for him already. It might end up falling under the Lyle Foster category where we just constantly make excuses for him.
I mean, call me old-fashioned. Please. I heard the same thing about Edwards. How can you be a pro and not be fit? Genuinely, if you're coming back from injury, and I can get it more with Broya a little bit more, just because, he's famously known for being so injury prone because of his ACLs and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think he's been basically okay now without really any proper injuries for a long time. For at least over half a year since the last injury. So he must now be fit and can trust himself a bit more now, surely, right? He's making Foster look like nightmare Ronaldo. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, $1.
Yeah, the TurfCast chat is not pulling any punches today. I just think for me, what it is it needs more. There's a difference between obviously being fit, isn't there, physically fit, and having an okay knee, they're being match fit. I think he just needs to play more matches. But obviously, he's not, but Ashley Barnes was coming on before him recently, you know what I mean? So he's not going to get these matches. Now we're out of the Carabao. What we're going to do, wait until January to play him in the FA Cup. They'll be too late by then because, like you said, Lyle will be away at AFCON, so we're probably going to need him then. Else it's Zian and Barnes up front for January. So how long is it going to take to get him up to match fitness?
That could be a question, actually, because it's in 2 months. In January, if you could bring in 2 players or something, which areas should we have to target?
Yeah, it's going to be strikers, isn't it? Well, obviously, I don't know off the top of my head which one at the minute. It's got to be strikers. The goals has been the issue.
Yeah, we have to get some.
Maybe an actual right winger.
Yeah, potentially that could solve the creativity issue. There's a West Ham fan in the chat. He says, "Hi lads, West Ham fan here. How do you think next weekend will go, and what do you make of Parker?" And what it is, mate, I do a pre-game show where I chat to a West Ham fan and give my thoughts ahead of that game. So feel free to subscribe and then hang around and watch that. But for me, it's going to be tough with your win today. We'll see. I was looking forward to that game, but not so much now. But we'll get into that more later on. Right, lads, it's just reaching 7:30 here in sunny England. Obviously, Liam, you'll be fully aware of the great weather in 2 weeks when you make it way back over here. But
I put it on my story this morning. Literally, it's so bad for next 10 days. It's raining every single day.
It's awful. I'm not looking forward to it at all. I'm going to be so depressed. But anyway, less of that nonsense. It's time to discuss the man of the match. So get your comments coming in, everybody. Let me know your man of the match. I will put every single comment on screen that discusses the man of the match. I think everybody, apart from maybe Andrew, will choose the same person here because that's what Andrew does. Although, to be fair to Andrew, we got it right. We agreed last time that you were on the show, didn't we, mate? I can't remember who we both chose, but I know we said the same person. But we'll come to Andrew first, so we can't just be awkward and choose someone random after everybody's chosen the same person. So, Andrew, your man of the match, please.
I thought Fleming was absolutely great. No, it has to be Martin Dubravka. He was absolutely brilliant. Like you said earlier in the show, Joe, if it weren't for him, it could have been 4 or 5. He's just different quality. He's a massive step up to what we've had last time in the Premier League. It just has to be Dubravka. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, made some good saves again yesterday. Kept the score respectable. Made a great save towards the end, didn't he? If I remember rightly, made a good one-handed save in the first half. Made another really good save in the second half. So again, without them there, it's 5 again, like it was at City. And I think it was 5 last time we played them at home in the Premier League. But Liam, your man of the match, please, mate.
You're never gonna guess what I'm gonna say here, boys. You're never gonna guess.
Mando Broja.
Without Dubravka, it'd be 4-0 at half time, really. Maybe 3. The second chance was a bit poor, but the one which he got sent straight in completely, great save off him. Like, is he player of the season so far? I mean, it could be 4, 5. I could say that you got a good shout. You could say, like, basically all of our new signings. Which feels weird. You should say Anthony should be in the conversation for also, but I feel like people wouldn't say that. Is anyone saying Anthony for player of the year so far?
No,
I'd put him in the conversation.
But would you pick him?
No, because Dubravka's Dubravka.
Let's have Dubravka or Walker or I love Florentino Luis. I think Hartman has also become so kind of underrated.
Hartman definitely. Hartman definitely. For me, it's Dubravka then Hartman.
I love this year that we've actually been so good in terms of transfers. It actually makes me really excited for Jan. Because I actually feel like just two different players, just 2 new players that add into this mix. And I truly believe that we can stay up. I already think we can stay up already. Like, I've said enough to believe that we can do it. If we go get results against West Ham next weekend, which I fully believe, I'm expecting it now, which I feel almost I'm being cheeky. But I expect us to beat West Ham this week.
I was until today. Now they've won. Admittedly, I know someone said in the chat earlier Newcastle were a bit poor. I haven't seen the game, to be fair. But the fact that they've got the one will kickstart their season just like it did for Aston Villa the week before they played us.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of West Ham, I guess, in the last 2-3 weeks. They have brought in that new lad Potts in midfield. But I think our midfielders are so much more better. If we play the 4-back, I think we could definitely take them on.
Yeah,
they did play.
I agree. If we don't play 5 at the back and sit behind the ball and actually be brave and go for it, then yes, I think we can get the win. Not sitting here predicting we will get the win just yet, but we are capable if we go for it. But I do feel like we will.
Parker give 5 at the back against West Ham.
Exactly. I do. We'll play the same way we did against Wolves. Hopefully, without the first half collapse and the second half battering. We'll set up in that manner. Is what I mean. Yeah, we'll play well for 20 minutes and then be shy and get the lucky win. But I'll take that. Anyway, going back to the man of the match, my vote is obviously Dubravka. Without him, like I said, the score is a lot higher. It's got to be Dubravka for me. Claret Blue 1882 says Dubravka. Andy Duckworth says Walker. Martin Stevenson says Broja because he did one sprint. Great effort from the lad. Tuanzebe, says John. Dubravka, says Lee. Martin with his serious thoughts, says Tuanzebe. Claret says can't split Dubravka and Walker. Sean Rubino says Dubravka. Arsenal would have been out of sight in the first half. David Ashley said Edwards for having a shot. He's the president of the Marcus Edwards fan club. Martin Patterson says Dubravka again. Paul Walker says Brozier for winning a header. Chase a Dream says Brozier for getting through 15 minutes. Again, the disrespect, but this is what we're about. Andy Duckworth says Walker player of the season for him, obviously going on that one. Brian Gott says Louise for the man of the match. And yeah, that's pretty much it for all the comments of the man of the match. We'll start looking to wrap it up in the next few minutes, lads. But is there anything that you want to mention that we haven't spoken about yet? Now's your chance to bring it up.
I agree with John Payne. I want to see Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, you want to see Ashley Barnes as well? Starting?
We all want to see Ashley Barnes.
Everybody loves Barnes. When he came, who did he come on against? With Leeds, and he just came on, and it's just hilarious. He just comes on, throws himself around. He's like a bull in a china shop, and I absolutely love the man. Absolutely.
I love that. I got a WhatsApp message. I got a message from Leeds fan when he watched the game saying since when did you get Ashley Barnes back? It's like, I forgot to be fair, this season.
Yeah. That was the best substitution that Scott Parker has ever made. Is bringing on not just Ashley Barnes, but Hannibal
at the same time
against Leeds United. Like, that was just perfect.
Yeah,
shithousery.
Completely agree. I'll quickly do this one then, because I do need to start wrapping it up because I've got to start work soon. Chaser Dream says, what's your views on Fleming starting? Think he's a better option than Foster, gives us a presence up top. At this stage, mate, I'd agree. I think he's done quite a lot. I think he would do well against West Ham. I think he can come on. And then again, hopefully similar against Wolves, bring Lyle off the bench. Was he injured yesterday? As Scott mentioned that yesterday, I didn't manage to listen to his...
Yeah, someone said he was ill. Like, I saw something on Twitter speculating, but then I think Parker said he got sent home on Friday ill. And then obviously he wasn't 100%. So hopefully back for West Ham though, I believe.
Yeah. Andy Duckworth says Fleming doing great. Also like Foster, but Fleming retains spot for run. Strong effort who can finish. Foster was poorly, says Chaser Dream, which is obviously what you're mentioning there. But yeah, tell you what then, lads, we'll wrap it up there. Big shout out to Andrew for coming on the show, and a massive thank you to Liam as well in the middle of a big country move. Yes, John, I have seen the Leeds fixtures. He says, have you seen the Leeds fixtures between now and the end of January? Forest away, Villa home, City, blah, blah. It's a tough run. And I do think, I've said for a while, Leeds are one of the teams that will protect. If we stay up, Leeds probably have to go down. I was earmarking Brentford. I was earmarking a couple of other teams that I feel like are pulling away a little bit now. I feel like Forest might be all right. I don't know. Even though they only drew yesterday, it was a draw against, admittedly, a Man United side that's not as good as they used to be, but still, I feel like Dyche going in there will help them. So, yeah. Chaser Dream says, hope your eye's better soon. Were you battling with Arteta? Yes, mate. I saw him. They were whinging about the grass again, so I told him to shut up and he knocked me one. Only joking, obviously, before I get sued by Mikel Arteta for slander. That didn't happen, obviously. Just a football injury, mate. But anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Apologies if you have joined the stream late, but don't worry, when I press end stream, it does stay on YouTube and on Facebook for you to watch at your leisure. And I will be uploading it as a podcast in all the usual places. Hopefully, I remember to do it tonight instead of forgetting and doing it in the morning. So thank you, everybody watching. Thank you all for listening. Massive shout out to Andrew and Liam for coming on the stream. We will see you all for the Glenn Little podcast, hopefully, in a day or two. I haven't actually spoken to Glenn yet. I will text him tonight, but that should be out in the next day or two. And then after that, we will be doing the pre-game show ahead of West Ham, but I need to find a West Ham fan. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.